Okay, this video is brief summary of nutrition and health. Okay, the two most important people to know about in the world of nutrition and health are Dr. Walter Kempner and Dr. John McDougall. Walter Kempner, back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, put patients on a very low-fat diet of primarily white rice and some fruits, and he gave him a multivitamin, and he was able to cure most of the common Western diseases. He cured obesity. He had lots of patients lose over 100 pounds. He cured type 2 diabetes. He cured hypertension. He cured coronary artery disease. A lot of patients with other manifestations of that, congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillation, etc. He cured autoimmune diseases, psoriasis. Okay, he was reversing diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy. So the Walter Kempner diet was only 3% of calories from fat. That's 3% of calories from fat. And it was about 4% of calories from protein. So the other 93% was from carbohydrate. And so he proved everybody, all these diseases could be cured. But here's the catch. And he didn't cure all the kidney failure, but he cured a lot of them. The whole point, though, was Kempner's patients had to be monitored in a medical setting. Versus McDougall came along in the 1980s and 90s and 2000s and showed, look, you just put them on a starch-based diet and you don't need to monitor them. And it's sustainable for life very easily. So McDougall had almost as good a cures as Walter Kempner with a diet that very easy for anyone to eat. McDougall also went through all the epidemiology, and he showed all large healthy populations eat a primarily starch-based diet. He recommended for people starting out, eat 90% of your calories from starch, 5% from fruits, 5% from vegetables, and the only supplement he thought people should take is a little bit of vitamin B12. Okay, and McDougall is curing almost all the Western diseases right there too. Because, what are the diseases? There's acute stuff like from trauma, okay? Then you need to go to the emergency room for, a broken bone or something like that. But if you have an abscess, you need a surgical drainage. Some infections, you need antibiotics. That is all true. Those are acute diseases, sudden onset, known cause, you can reverse them. But for the chronic diseases, they're almost all dietary, so you need to fix your diet. Lifestyle factors in. You got to get your sleep, manage your stress, that sort of thing, get some exercise. All right, now here's some of the big mentors for Dr. McDougall. Burkitt figured out you got to eat your fiber or you'll get abdominal pressure syndrome. No one knows abdominal pressure syndrome. I never met an MD ever in my life that knows it, including I've got friends who are chiefs of surgery in their different areas, general surgery, who operate on the intestinal tract all the time, and they don't know this. Okay, I taught it to them. All right, Nathan Pritikin, Pritikin was a genius, and he reviewed all the literature on nutrition, and he came to the conclusion all fat is bad. And McDougall says the same thing. Fat is the biggest toxin in the Western diet. The fat you eat is the fat you wear. And David Blankenhorn's atherosclerosis papers, any type of fat, they're all atherogenic. Whatever fat you eat, the more atherosclerosis you get. If you want to reverse atherosclerosis, you must minimize dietary fat. Rice Wank came along, MD, PhD from Harvard, showing that fat sticks red blood cells together. They're like the chylomicrons, the initial absorption, travel delivery system of fat. Chylomicrons stick the red blood cells together, causing blood slugs, rouleau formation. That causes hypertension, and he felt that was also damaging the blood-brain barrier and contributing to the causation of multiple sclerosis. He put patients on a minimized dietary fat diet, and he has the best results ever obtained of anybody for the treatment of MS, with patients over 30 years of MS with only 5% progressing in their symptoms. Way better than any drug. Epidemiology, McDougall scouted out all the epidemiology. Like I said, he said all healthy large populations eat a starch-based diet. There are no exceptions. Okay, and his diet, of course, was a starch-based diet. T. Colin Campbell figured out the more animal protein you eat, the more cancer you get. Any amount increases cancer risk, and he could turn cancer on and off in rodents. There's a whole bunch of famous people who survived metastatic cancer, especially breast cancer, and people wrote books about that, like Kelly Turner, Radical Remission, Stop Feeding Your Cancer is another book. Otto Warburg showed that when you change a cell from aerobic oxygenated metabolism to anaerobic, you'll increase your risk of cancer. That's the Warburg effect. David Sabatini did a lot of good work on mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin, also called mechanistic target of rapamycin, that gets activated by high animal food diets. Dean Ornish showed that you put people on a vegetarian diet and you could stabilize their PSAs, low-fat vegetarian diet. Okay. Caldwell-Esselstyn, basically you put people on a low-fat vegan diet, less than 10% of calories from fat, and you could reverse coronary artery disease. And he had the best results ever obtained of anybody, more than 32 times better than an optimized version of the Mediterranean diet in the Lyon study. Okay, so that's why high-fat phony diet's ridiculous, okay? They're feeding people about 40% of calories from fat. That's insane. That's more than 10 times as much fat as Kempner fed people. Okay, that's more than, about 6 times as much fat as McDougall fed people. My version of it, it's about the same thing. Spartan vegan diet's about 5% of calories from fat. Let's see, what else? Oh, then what was the unique thing that I did? Well, basically, I figured out the mechanism of dementia, the mechanism of back pain, and also the role of mitochondria inhibitors in disease. And I took all this information and went through all the old papers and figured out all the biochemical mechanisms. Basically, I put everything in order. And I wrote multiple books on this, basically going from your mouth all the way through absorption into your blood, into your cells, into your mitochondria, to explain all the mechanisms. And I learned from tons of people. Michael Brownlee figured out diabetes, main cause is saturated fat from animal foods. Gerald Shulman confirmed it's the accumulation of fat in your skeletal muscle cells is the first detectable finding of diabetes. Roy Taylor showed that you minimize fatty liver and diabetes goes away by losing over 30 pounds of weight. He cured all those type 2 diabetics who had it for 4 years or less. Gregory Sloop and William C. Roberts are both genius pathologists who, showed that atherosclerosis is a blood clot. Pathologists don't really care. They just look at it under a microscope. A lot of these guys, like at the Harvard schools, they're all trying to promote drugs. That's where their funding comes from. So they're always trying to say, oh, it's inflammation. Take this drug, take this drug, take this drug. Richard Moore, he, figured out the role of ions in hypertension, the role of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. He spent his whole life researching ions, and the guy's a genius. He's the guy who wrote High Blood Pressure Solutions, a great book. Douglas Kellett, Theresia Pretorius, the PhDs, they figured out the role of a leaky gut in causing amyloid clots through the bacterial endotoxins, as well as the role of iron through ferrous redox cycling and how that contributes in a big way to atrial fibrillation and to dementia. Okay, you're plugging up everything all over your body with these little microclots. These guys, Yo Miyamis and Murphy, showed that fluoride's rat poison. Okay, everybody who studied it knows that. Not only lowers IQ, it poisons your gonads, it poisons your whole body. It doesn't belong in the human body. Increases your cancer risk. All these psychiatrists here showed that all psychiatric drugs cause brain damage and eventually lead to a lobotomy. Only Blaylock, Choi, Matson are some of the pioneer workers on excitotoxicity. Brain stimulants all cause brain damage. It's insane to be giving kids, and Whitaker did a lot of good work on summarizing the results of that as well. It's insane to be giving amphetamines to children. It's just causing brain damage in these poor kids, turning them into psych patients. Jack Delatorre showed the role of hypoperfusion in causing dementia. He's a guy who did the mouse equivalents, tying off the carotid in mice. Kazumori Yamashima with the omega-6 cochineal causing toxic aldehydes like HNE, hydroxynonenal, and then the calpain-cathepsin theory of lipid peroxidation, destruction of lysosomes and cells. So anyways, this is why once you have this basic idea, Kempner cured everything, McDougall showed how to sustain it with a starch-based diet. Rogers basically explained all the mechanisms from the mouth all the way through absorption, through your blood, to your mitochondria. It all makes sense, it all works, you all get the same results in animal studies. It's good, it's really good, the science. And once you know this idea, you can always study individual parts more. You'll be immune to nonsense from the high-fat phonies. A lot of the high-fat phonies are real smart and have done good things, but they have to sell stuff in order to make money. So they got to tell you nuts and seeds and avocados and omega-6 oils and olive oil and omega-3s are good for you. They have to do that in order to sell stuff and make money, or sell supplements or say MSGs, okay? They have to do that because they got to make money, okay? I just do it as a hobby because, I like it's good for my ego being the best doctor in the world. That and $1.50 will get me a ride on the bus, but it makes me feel good, okay? So that's why I'm going to do it. I want to do something useful with my life. Okay, so anyway, and I was going to be a biochemist, so I know the biochemistry quite well. I got 99s in all my tests. First in my class, 333 students, okay? So there it is. It's been figured out. Now, don't get me wrong. There's always new things coming along, like microplastics and other topics. But these basic core principles in nutrition, they've been figured out, and they're not going anywhere. So anybody who tells you otherwise is BSing you. I also see my role, kind of like Jeff Nelson. We're trying to preserve the truth, like the Irish monks and the other Roman Catholic Church monks, trying to preserve the truths in the monasteries, okay? And then the paleo, keto, carnivores, high-fat phonies are trying to burn it down and hide the truth from the pros, but we're trying to keep the truth alive. So there it is. It's all available for free in our videos and our books, and you know, you can learn from it if you want to learn. Hope you find that helpful.